Humans have undoubtedly dreamed of many things since the beginning of time. One of them was to rise. They wanted to touch the unreachable points. The sky was a mystery after all. But there was a truth they often forgot. Could there be limits to rising? Maybe many of you have set a big goal for yourselves at least once in your life. Maybe you wanted to be more successful than everyone else, richer, or rise higher. Maybe some of you succeeded in this, some of you fell, and maybe after that fall you started questioning the price of rising. Now, close your eyes and imagine this. You are flying towards the endless sky above a blue sea. The only thing you feel is freedom. There are no chains holding you, there are no limits, no obstacles in front of you. You feel the wind on your skin. Your heart is racing and you rise higher and higher. Just at that moment, a voice echoes in your mind. Don't rise too high, stay balanced. What would you do then? Would you push your limits and rise even higher, or would you stay at a safe distance and continue enjoying freedom? This question is actually one that humanity has asked itself for thousands of years. Hidden within this question are fear, curiosity, courage, and arrogance. And there is a mythological answer to this question: Icarus. Today, I will tell you the story of a young man who got lost in the sky while trying to reach his dreams. This story is not just a myth, it's the tale of arrogance, ambition, and the limits of freedom. One of the greatest lessons mythology has left us. A warning, a tragedy, and perhaps even a source of inspiration. What I'm about to share might confront you with your own limits. Perhaps we will try to understand the story of human rise and fall from a perspective we've never looked at before. If you're ready, come with me. In ancient Greece, there was an intelligent, creative, and talented inventor named Daedalus. Daedalus didn't just make ordinary things, he created awe-inspiring structures and engineering marvels. While many admired his genius and talent, others were jealous of him. One day, the powerful King Minos of the time asked Daedalus to build a labyrinth that no one could ever escape from. This labyrinth was meant to imprison the terrifying creature Minotaur, which had the body of a man and the head of a bull. Daedalus, reaching the peak of his engineering skill, completed the labyrinth. The labyrinth was so complex and dangerous that no one who entered it could return. However, King Minos was worried about the secret of the labyrinth being revealed by Daedalus to others. For this reason, he locked Daedalus and his son Icarus in a tower, and told them they would remain there for the rest of their lives. Deprived of their freedom, father and son began searching for ways to escape. Each passing day seemed to diminish their hopes, but Daedalus trusted in his ingenuity. Finally, he devised an extraordinary plan to escape. By combining beeswax and bird feathers, he made wings that could be attached to human arms. With these wings, he believed both he and his son could escape the tower. But as he made the wings, he particularly warned his son, "Don't rise too high, and don't fly too close to the sea. If you rise, the sun will melt the wax and you'll fall. If you fly too low, the moisture from the sea will weigh down your wings and you'll fall again. Find the middle path and stay balanced." At first, Icarus took his father's words seriously. The only thing he thought of at that moment was freedom. When they finally left the tower, they began to rise towards the sea. At first, everything seemed fine. The feeling of freedom they experienced while flying in the sky was unique. But young Icarus was caught up in the excitement that freedom gave him. For the first time, he was intoxicated by flying so high, forgetting all of his father's warnings, and began to rise even higher. With the power his wings gave him, he rose higher above the clouds towards the sun. But as he rose, the beeswax holding his wings began to melt. By the time Icarus realized this, it was too late. His wings broke apart. He paid the price of freedom and rising with an eternal fall. Icarus disappeared into the infinite blueness of the sea and died. His father helplessly watched the spot where his son fell. The struggle he gave for his son's salvation ended in tragedy. The story of Icarus is one of the most symbolic stories that have reached us from ancient times. His tragic fall actually tells the consequences of human arrogance, ambition, and the desire for boundlessness. Icarus is a symbol for anyone who pushes their limits. Today, many of us are living his story. Many of us, while chasing after more success, fame, and power, forget our own limits. More followers on social media, higher positions in our careers, more money or power. As we want more, we forget when to stop. Caught up in the allure of rising, we forget our limits and get too close to our own sun. At this point, the story of Icarus turns into a mirror for us, no longer just a myth. In his story, we see our own reflection. So, is it really wrong to push the limits? Did Icarus make the mistake of rising, or did he make the mistake of ignoring his limits? The answer to this question is hidden in one of the deepest and most complex issues of human history. The story of Icarus has deep connections with the fundamental contradictions that modern humans experience. In the modern world, rising and succeeding are always seen as great values. People are told that they need to achieve more, to rise higher, and are constantly encouraged to do so. We exhaust ourselves to climb the career ladder, always aiming for a higher level in every aspect of life. But unfortunately, we often fail to take into account the price of rising. Like Icarus, we too get intoxicated by the excitement of rising, lose ourselves, and forget reality. We think that gaining more, becoming more popular, or becoming more powerful will bring happiness. But perhaps, just like wings made of beeswax, there is a melting point for these desires and ambitions as well. When we reach that point, we face the risk of losing all our gains. Another important point in the story of Icarus is the advice his father Daedalus gave. What did he say? Find the middle path and stay balanced. So how will we achieve this balance? This is where the fundamental problem of modern humans lies. Drawing limits in our lives and knowing when to stop might be the most important lesson Icarus's story has to offer us. In today's world, we all have wings that allow us to fly in the sky. For some of us, these wings might be career, for others money, and for others fame. But the common point for all of us is that these wings are made of beeswax. When we push them too hard or exceed their limit, we forget that they will melt. Like Icarus, we too believe that our potential is limitless. We ignore our own limits. But the thing to remember is that limits are not always obstacles that restrict us. Sometimes they are safety lines that protect us. Was Icarus a failure or a tragic hero? Many of us may pity him, but we also secretly admire him. Because he did something that many of us dream of but don't dare to do. He pushed his limits. While listening to the story of Icarus, we realize that we should look not only at his fall but at our own lives, goals, and desires. As Icarus's wings melted and he fell into the endless blue, maybe he was telling us something. Yes, there is a price to rise, but the real tragedy might be never trying to rise at all. This is the fundamental question we need to answer in every moment of our lives. When should we stop? When should we continue? And which risks are worth taking? Icarus's story might not give a definitive answer to these questions, but it leaves us with a strong story to think about and question. What you take away from this story might also lead to a misunderstanding, as if disaster will befall anyone who tries to rise. Of course, that's not the case. Not every rise, every boundary pushing ends in disaster. On the contrary, humanity's progress is often the result of these daring rises. The story of Icarus is a warning, yes, but this warning is not to reject rising altogether, but to rise with awareness. Because just like falling, rising is also part of the human soul. Many people who left a mark in history are admired today because they dared to push the boundaries of their time. Galileo Galilei, when he argued that the center of the universe was not the Earth but the Sun, was judged by the authorities of his time and silenced. But he chose to follow the truth. That's why today when we look at the sky, we see not only the stars but also the boundless courage of the human mind. Like Galileo, the Wright brothers chose to flap their wings in the middle of a world that believed reaching the sky was impossible. Throughout human history, flying was just a dream, but the Wright brothers never gave up. They fell, got back up, and finally laid the foundations of modern aviation. Or Marie Curie, who broke through the walls of male-dominated science and won 2 Nobel Prizes, becoming one of the most respected names in modern science. Her rise was the result of her personal courage and belief. Just like in our own story, perhaps someone who took the university exams several times and finally succeeded, or an entrepreneur who failed 2 or 3 businesses but succeeded in the 4th one. They too rose, took risks, and sometimes fell but got back up every time. So the issue is not just about being content or burning with limitless desires. It's not about flying towards a sun that could burn us. So what's the issue? The issue is to realise the magic of rising while also being able to carry its weight